Okay, hi there, Yerds. So, game on. Under 10 minutes. Here we go. Boom. Today we're going to be talking about interviewing. Um, uh, right next to this video on Yearbook Avenue, I linked to a video that is about the guy who does People of New York. He's an amazing interviewer, so if you guys have a spare minute, you don't need to take notes, but I would really appreciate at some point if you would watch that video and kind of watch what his technique is, because he handles it amazingly, and this guy is like a master interviewer. He's not a great photographer, but what makes People of New York so amazing is how much this guy can get out of complete strangers in like less than 10 minutes on the streets of New York, which isn't always the friendliest place to run into people. So if you have spare time, please watch that video. It will really help you be an awesome yurt and hopefully be a great interviewer, which is one of the foundations of great writing, is great interviewing. So let's talk about interviewing today. Interviewing is nothing more than having a great conversation with someone. That's it. You guys have conversations all day long with your friends, with your family. It's nothing more than having a really great conversation with somebody. And this interviewing skill, while it might be nerve-wracking at first, the more that you practice it, the easier it's going to get and the better you're going to get. It's like anything. If you're a great interviewer, also, you probably will become a better date someday. Going out on a date, you'll be more equipped to have those easy conversations, to really get to know somebody quicker. Not saying that that should be your only goal with this, but this is a great life skill. And also, it's a great skill also in the workplace too. So interviewing across the board, it's just about having a great conversation, but there are some tools and techniques to help you be more successful straight out of the gate. So, wrong button. Let's talk about the setup. So the setup is a big part of interviewing. The first thing that you're going to want to do in Yearbook is you're wanting to figure out who is going to be the student that you interview. So when you kind of pick out a student that you're thinking, yeah, that could be the person that I'm going to interview for this caption or this story or this quote, the first thing that we need to do is we need to check on Yearbook Avenue about how many times this kid has been covered. If they've been covered more than 3 times, hit pause. See if there's somebody else you can interview for it. See if you can redirect it, because again, we don't want to have people with tons and tons of coverage and then people with no coverage, because our goal, 3 times in the book. So once they hit 3, we need to go and figure out somebody different, hopefully. If we need to make it 4, that's fine. Last case, last option, that's fine. But if it's 3, please try and find somebody else to interview. Also, side note, you don't always have to interview the person that's in the photo. You can show the person that's in the photo and then interview somebody else about the story. That's a great way to double up your coverage. Okay, so after you pick your kid for interviewing, then you're going to send a pass for them to come in for intervention for their interview. Okay, first time. Then the kid doesn't respond. So then you send another pass for them to come in during intervention. You get what I mean? And the kid still doesn't come in. Stupid kids. All right, 3rd time's the charm. 3rd time is when you email their 4th period teacher and you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, I've tried twice to call this person during intervention. I've maybe also tried getting them during lunch or passing period to do my interview, which isn't as great because we'll talk about that why in a second. But last option, we try and contact their 4th period teacher and arrange to interview that kid during 4th period during the first 5 or the last 5 minutes of class. That way we're not interrupting the middle. We're getting them right before class starts or getting them right as class ends. So it's most convenient for teachers. If the teacher says no, that's the teacher's right, and we need to find a different option of how we're going to get this kid covered and done. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then talk to me, hey, that rhymes, about how we're going to do this, and we'll figure out a creative way of making it happen. Maybe it's me stepping in and seeing what I can do as your advisor. But 1, 2, 3, then talk to me. Okay, so the prep. After you get your kid and you're sending passes, trying to call them in for an interviewer, who you need to talk to next? You need to talk to your photographer or the person that took the photo and figure out the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, and why. And also maybe how, kind of like the outcome, how it went, what was the vibe. So you can get kind of like what was going on, so you can better orient your questions for your interview. So talk to your photographer. Get like, what was the vibe of the day? What was the temperature? What was the outcome of the game? How did this player do? What can you tell me? Because your photographer was there. So hopefully they can give you some more insights about formulating your next thing that you need to do, which is coming up with at least 5 starter questions. 5 starter questions based on your prior research about this person or this event. It's really important to make sure that you're comfortable going into the interview, and researching helps that. If you feel like you have a really good game plan, you really understand things, then it puts you at ease because you've done your planning, you've done your homework, which is always a good thing. Take it from a teacher. So anyways, when you come up with your 5 starter questions, you want to think about starter questions that are going to generate a longer response. You don't want to ever ask somebody a yes or no question. How was the game? It was good. Okay. What was it like, playing for the first time? It was fun. Okay. So think about questions that are going to elicit a longer response from your person that you're interviewing. So some great questions. I mean, across the board, these are really good ones. So I want you all to make sure that you write these down. So you can start out with a question. Tell me what it was like being a freshman on the football field for the first time. That usually elicits a little bit more information. The person's going to give a little bit more information about maybe the sights, the sounds, what they were feeling, what happened. That's a really good prompt. Another one was, what was it like? So kind of making them explain the sensory of the scene, how it felt to be in their shoes. Describe for me, if they say, oh, we're like a family. I hate that response. No more family stuff in the book. If I see that, I'm going to throw up. Everybody's like a family all the time. Great, wonderful. So specifically, describe for me how you are like a family this year. What have you done to create that culture of family? How is it different than last year? Those are all things where we're getting more and more specific and generating a response that only that person could say at that specific time with that specific team. So that's what we want, or circumstance. It doesn't always have to be a team thing. Another great one is list for me your top 5 blank. So list for me your top 5 moments from your season. List for me your top 5 moments from going to cheer camp. And then based on what they give to you, they're going to have to think about it for a second, so you're going to have to give them a moment. Those are great things for then you to go down the rabbit hole with them, which we'll talk about in a second. So do your prep work, come up with your questions, talk to your photographer. Next thing, when you get your person in, aka the prey, you want to make them feel comfortable. You and the person you're interviewing are both going to be nervous. That's totally natural, and that's really okay. So you need to take a second and let them kind of adjust, okay? Because if we have our walls up, we're not going to be genuine with our information. We need to get them comfortable. So this is also good for dates. So take the time to make them comfortable. Say, hey, do you want to come over here to our little comfortable chairs that we have in Yearbook now? Maybe you want to just chat with them casually, ask them how their semester is going, how their weekend was, if they've seen any good movies. Make small talk. Get them comfortable. Get them used to you. Get them relaxed. Don't just have them walk in the door and then bang, hit them with an interview. That's not fun for anybody, you or the person. And I know sometimes we're in a rush. I get that. But we need to slow down a little bit. That way we get better information. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. So speaking of which, if they walk in the door with friends, get them isolated. Take them out in the hallway. Take them outside of room 304, right? In that brick wall area outside. Get them away from their friends, because if they're with their friends, they're going to kind of put on this show and they're going to say stuff and they're going to try and be funny because, again, they're nervous, and that's a coping mechanism when you're nervous, is to try and be funny, or they might be a little bit more rude to you than they need to be. So tip from me to you, get them isolated away from their friends so you guys can, again, have that genuine connection. Make it a quieter environment so you can hear them and it's more intimate. So again, that's taking them outside of room 304. If it's really noisy, take them in the hallway. Whatever you need to do to create the atmosphere where you're going to be more comfortable, they're going to be more comfortable, and you can have that great conversation. Think about Starbucks. Okay, they have comfortable chairs, they've got soothing music, they've got warm, comforting drinks, and at Starbucks, you guys get together and you have wonderful conversations and genuine connections. That's not by accident, okay? Starbucks cultivates that environment of relaxation and connection. We need to do that when we're interviewing, and especially in yearbook. When you're interviewing, listen. You should not be talking. So if they give you a response, don't just inject with what you think you want them to say, or feel like you need to talk. Interviewing is about listening and taking in the information that they're giving you, and then when they stop, that's when you take that information and you ask them your next question if you need to. You got to listen though. Also, when you're interviewing, don't be like this, or like this, or like this. Okay, my arms are crossed. I am not open to you right now. Think about your body language. Be relaxed with your body language. Have your body language be open. Have your arms be open. That communicates that you're open to this person, that you're relaxed, that you're wanting to take them in. If you're like this, you're closed off to them. Tip from me to you, pro tip. Also dating tip. So when they're talking, this might sound kind of stupid, but make sure make sure you give them some positive reinforcement. Smile, nod from time to time. Give them some feedback, not verbally, but non-verbally with your behaviors. This is really comforting to somebody, to have somebody be listening. Oh, there's a cat here. This is my cat, Katniss. She's awesome. Sorry, Katniss. Anyways, she likes to talk a lot. Blame Katniss if it's over 10 minutes. So nonverbal positive feedback is really important when you're interviewing somebody. Make them feel comfortable, make them feel like they're doing it right by giving them encouragement with your body language, okay? Big thing. Don't be freaky like, that's weird, don't do that. But maybe practice in the mirror so you know what you look like before you attempt to do that with a stranger. I could look just really weird, but I always look weird, so that's yearbook. And then also another tip is if they're really uncomfortable, let them look at your questions ahead of time so they can kind of pre-think out their answers. They don't feel like they've been put on the spot and they're like, they don't know what to answer. It's very comforting to have them feel like they have more control. So let them preview your questions, and then also it's really nice to ask permission for you to record the interview. I've never had anybody tell me no. But it's just a nice thing to, again, offer them a little bit more control of the situation, all right? So some of your hashtag goals, some of your goals for when you should be interviewing, get them to open up more and more. So start off with your 5 questions, and then based on their responses, go down the rabbit hole a little bit more. Say, tell me more about something they told you, or describe to me what that was like. That seems really complex or difficult, and they'll tell you more and more and more. We want to get more and more specific, more and more genuine with their quotes. So get a quote that is so intimate and specific that only they could have said it. That's a big thing. The yearbook advisor from Whitney says this all the time. It should be so incredibly specific that only that one person could have said that thing about that specific event at that specific time. If it could be applied to any other year or group of people, then it isn't a good quote to use in the yearbook. Not yet. You need to go down the rabbit hole a little bit more and get more specific. If you can say "said zombies" at the end of your quote and it doesn't make a difference or change the story, or if it can be applied, then it's, again, not a good quote. No good are we're like a family. I'm so sick of hearing that. Okay, that one is not that is not allowed to be in our book again, ever. So family is good, but describe to me what that means. How is your family different than the family in football or the family in your book? Or what does your family do that makes it a family? So these 2 things, don't have those happen. All right, last thing for today. The wrap up. So when you're all done with your interview, you feel like you got that good quote, like it is, it's like butter. Thank them for the interview. Say, okay, we're all set. I got what I need. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. smile, maybe shake their hand if that's not weird. I don't know how you kids do things. Maybe fist bump them. I don't know. If you want to, come up to me and ask me for a piece of candy. We'll give them a piece of candy. Whatever we need to do to make it a positive finish for them, so they go and tell their friends, oh yeah, you know, interviewing for yearbook, not that bad, really fun. They made it awesome. I'm so excited to see, you know, what they put in the book about me, or what quote they're going to put in the book, or they were really interested in my class or my club or my sport. We want them to have a positive connection with coming in for yearbook, for being a part of making their yearbook. We want it to be all good, okay? Last thing before you let them leave, if they came in during intervention, see if they need their pass rewritten by me to go somewhere else for the rest of intervention. So they don't have to stay in 304. We can send them off to their final destination. And again, that's a positive thing that they can experience along with your wrap up. So that should be kind of their face before they leave yearbook. They're like, oh my God, it was so great. You might also ask them if they've bought their yearbook, since now they're going to be in the yearbook. You want to encourage them to buy it because they're going to be in it. So that's interviewing. We're going to practice it in class. Again, if you have time, please check out the video about Humans of New York. It will be really beneficial. It's also very funny. The guy's kind of cute. So please, please, please check that out. And we will get started with interviewing and on to more of the writing component of yearbook. Thanks so much, nerds. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.